Oh no! I've lost Billy Graham. The security guard panicked. He had one job to do: watch the backstage of the auditorium to make sure Billy Graham was safe. He had walked out the door for a moment to check the alleyway, then returned back inside, and in that brief moment, he lost the world's most famous preacher. Searching backstage, he heard a desperate voice crying out from the catwalk, and when he climbed to the top, he found Billy Graham, on his face, pleading in prayer. God, I cannot do this without you. God, I need your strength and power to speak today. That day, Billy Graham was preparing to address a mid-sized group of leaders for only 15 minutes. If anyone could deliver a 15-minute talk in his own strength or gravitas, it would have been Billy Graham, an incredibly talented orator who literally spoke to millions of people and met and talked with the most powerful leaders on earth. But instead, Billy Graham prayed as if the exact opposite were true. He fell on his face, crying out desperately to God. Despite his experience, qualifications, and position as a global leader, Billy Graham lived with a heightened awareness of his reliance on God, an awareness evidenced in his prayer life. Billy Graham seemed to take Jesus at his word when he said, "Apart from me, you can do nothing," in John 15:5. But based on recent studies, it's clear that few lead out of a similar conviction today. Collectively, we've lost the essence of Billy Graham and his prayerful dependence on God to sustain his leadership. The dispiriting studies on prayer. Personally and anecdotally, we know that Christian leaders often lead out of our own strength, dedicating significant time to research, strategy, and discussion before rounding out our efforts with a quick prayer for God to bless our plans. Studies of Christian leaders have drawn the same conclusion. By and large, they report lackluster prayer lives. One study, for example, showed that only 16% of pastors are very satisfied with their prayer lives. Another study revealed that 72% of pastors identify consistency in personal prayer as one of the greatest needs they must address. When it comes to prayer, the gap between where we are and where we want to be is vast. Expanding beyond pastors, a large foundation in the United States commissioned a top-tier research firm to investigate prayer practices within Christian organizations. They invested 6 figures in both quantitative and qualitative research to understand how these organizations prayed and what the impact of prayer was on their mission and staff. Researchers compiled a list of 200 Christian organizations that publicly touted a culture of prayer. This select group was meant to represent the vanguard of organizational prayer, and everyone involved in the study eagerly awaited the results to see what they could learn from these exemplars. The report captured some sad realities facing the church and parachurch organizations. Specifically, that intentional corporate prayer is the exception and not the norm in Christian organizations. If this is the disappointing reality about prayer among pastors and leading organizations, how much bleaker is the landscape for everyone else? And if Christian leaders aren't praying, what is the impact on the environments and teams they lead?